Have you ever looked at your retirement plan and thought, okay, I've got my 401k, I've got my Roth IRA, maybe a health savings account, but what about everything else? Or maybe you're in a higher income household and you're already maxing out all the traditional retirement accounts available to you, and you're wondering, where does the next dollar go? Today, we're going to talk about an account that often gets misunderstood, overlooked, or treated as an afterthought in retirement planning, the taxable brokerage account. A lot of people assume taxable accounts are just for people who are already wealthy or that they're only for short-term investing. None of that's really true. In this video, I want to walk you through the role a taxable brokerage account plays in a well-designed retirement plan, how it complements your other accounts, and why, for many households, it ends up being one of the most powerful and flexible tools you have. By the end of this video, you'll understand when a taxable account makes sense, how it fits into your long-term strategy, and how to use it intentionally rather than accidentally. Let's start with the basics. A taxable brokerage account is simply an investment account that does not receive special tax treatment from the government the way retirement accounts do. There are no upfront tax deductions like a traditional 401k or IRA. There are no income limits like a Roth IRA. There are no required minimum distributions later in life. You invest after-tax dollars and you pay taxes along the way. That sounds boring and at first glance maybe even unattractive, but here's the key thing to understand. Taxable doesn't mean tax inefficient, it means tax flexible. In a taxable brokerage account, you typically pay taxes in three ways. First, on interest and dividends generated by the investments. Second, on realized capital gains when you sell an investment for a profit. Third, potentially on distributions from funds that pass through gains. What you do not pay is a penalty for accessing your money. There are no age restrictions. There are no early withdrawal penalties. There's no forced schedule for taking money out. That flexibility is what gives taxable accounts their strategic value in retirement planning. To understand why this matters, we need to zoom out and talk about the big picture. One of the biggest mistakes we see is people thinking about accounts in isolation. They say things like, this is my 401k, this is my Roth, this is my brokerage account. But retirement doesn't care where the money comes from. Your lifestyle is funded at the household level. A good retirement plan looks at all accounts together and asks one central question. How do we create reliable income, tax efficiency, and flexibility over 30-plus year retirement? Taxable brokerage accounts play a unique role in answering that question. Think of your retirement accounts as different buckets of money with different tax rules. Traditional accounts are tax-deferred. Roth accounts are tax-free. Taxable accounts are taxable but controllable. When you have all three, you're not locked into one outcome. You're giving yourself options. And in retirement planning, options are everything. Now let's talk about when taxable brokerage accounts actually come into play. There are four very common scenarios where taxable brokerage accounts play a critical role. Let's walk through each one. For higher income households, there are ceilings on how much you can put into your tax advantage accounts each year. You can max out your 401k. You might be doing backdoor Roth contributions. You may be funding a health savings account. At some point, the next dollar has to go somewhere. That's where the taxable brokerage account becomes the next step. And this is important. Just because the account is taxable does not mean it's extra money or non-retirement money. For many households, taxable accounts end up funding a significant portion of retirement. They are part of the retirement plan, not separate from it. Another scenario where taxable accounts shine is early retirement or semi-retirement. If you plan to retire or even partially retire before traditional retirement age, taxable accounts often become the bridge. Why? Because accessing traditional retirement accounts too early can trigger penalties. Roth accounts may have ordering rules or contribution limitations. Taxable brokerage accounts have none of those restrictions. They can fund living expenses in your 50s. They can cover healthcare costs before Medicare. They can give you income flexibility while you delay Social Security. In many early retirement plans, taxable accounts are the first dollars spent. A lot of people assume the goal is always to defer as much tax as possible, but deferring tax is not the same thing as maximizing lifetime taxes. Taxable brokerage accounts allow you to manage when and how taxes are paid. You can realize gains in low-income years. You can harvest losses to offset other income. You can control the size and timing of sales. That control becomes incredibly valuable in retirement when your income is no longer dictated by a paycheck. Taxable brokerage accounts also have unique advantages when it comes to legacy planning. Under current law, assets in a taxable account typically receive a step up in cost basis at death. That means heirs may be able to sell those assets with little or no capital gains tax. Traditional retirement accounts do not get the same treatment. Roth accounts are tax-free but still come with distribution rules for beneficiaries. Taxable accounts can be very efficient assets to leave behind, depending on your goals. Now that we understand when taxable accounts matter, let's talk about how they actually function inside of a retirement plan. This is where things really come together. In retirement, the question is not, how much do I have? The question is, where do I take money from and when? Taxable brokerage accounts often play three key roles in retirement income planning. As we mentioned earlier, taxable accounts are often used first. Why? Because using taxable accounts early can allow tax-deferred accounts to continue growing. It can keep reported income lower, and it can delay Social Security, which increases future benefits. This sequencing can significantly improve long-term outcomes. One of the most powerful uses of taxable brokerage accounts is tax smoothing. Rather than taking all income from one type of account, you can blend withdrawals. For example, some income from taxable accounts, some from Roth accounts, some from traditional accounts. This helps keep you in lower tax brackets and avoid large spikes in taxable income. Taxable accounts also support strategies like Roth conversions. If you want to convert traditional dollars to Roth in a low-income year, you need cash to pay the tax. Taxable brokerage accounts can provide that liquidity without disrupting your lifestyle. This makes them an important supporting player in long-term tax planning. Now, let's address one of the most common concerns we hear. Aren't taxable accounts tax inefficient? And this is probably the biggest misconception. Yes, taxable accounts require thoughtful management, but they are not inherently inefficient. In fact, with proper investment decisions and planning, they can be surprisingly tax efficient. Here are a few reasons why. Long-term capital gains are taxed at preferential rates, not ordinary income rates. For many retirees, those rates are significantly lower than their working year tax rates. Some retirees may even fall into a 0% capital gains bracket for a portion of their income. That makes taxable accounts far more attractive than most people realize. Next, taxable accounts allow you to harvest losses. That means intentionally realizing investment losses to offset gains or incomes. Those losses can be carried forward indefinitely and used strategically in the future. This is a powerful planning tool that simply does not exist inside retirement accounts. What you hold inside a taxable account matters. Broad market equity funds, low turnover index funds, tax-efficient ETFs, these tend to generate fewer taxable events and more favorable tax treatment. When we design portfolios, we think carefully about which assets belong in which accounts. Taxable does not mean unmanaged. Which brings us to a very important point. Let's talk about what not to do. One of the biggest mistakes is treating a taxable account as an afterthought. If it's part of your retirement plan, it deserves intentional design. That includes asset allocation, tax strategy, and withdrawal planning. Another mistake is focusing solely on dividends or income generation. High-yield investments can create unnecessary tax drag. Total return matters more than income alone. You can always create income by selling shares strategically. Selling during market downturns without understanding the tax consequences can create long-term damage. Taxable accounts require discipline and planning, especially during volatile markets. Now let's tie this all together. In a well-constructed retirement plan, taxable brokerage accounts serve as a flexible spending source, a tax management tool, a bridge to early retirement, a support system for Roth strategies, and a potential legacy asset. They're not better or worse than retirement accounts. They are different. And when used intentionally, they dramatically improve the resilience of your plan. Let's recap the big takeaways. First, taxable brokerage accounts are not just extra investing accounts. They are a core part of many retirement plans. Second, their flexibility makes them uniquely valuable for early retirement, tax planning, and income sequencing. Third, with thoughtful investment selection and strategy, they can be surprisingly tax efficient. And finally, the real power comes from coordination, using taxable, tax-deferred, and tax-free accounts. This is exactly how we approach planning as fiduciaries. We're not trying to sell products. We're not chasing tax gimmicks. We're designing plans that work in the real world across multiple decades through different market environments and tax regimes. If you want help understanding how a taxable brokerage account fits into your retirement plan, or whether you're using yours as effectively as possible, that's where professional guidance can make a meaningful difference. I'm Josh Duncan, partner at F5 Financial Planning. If you would like to learn more about how we help our clients achieve financial freedom for personal significance, please visit our website at www.f5fp.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.